Hi everybody. Let's see if I can pop one here. Quick. Okay. Hi Linda. Nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Hope you're well. Okay, and put this on the top. Hi Brina. Good morning Adrian. Thank you guys all for joining me today. I'm a little still flustered. I was sitting out in the heat for an hour and a half for lacrosse practice. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Okay, let me get my comments there. Hi Rose. So guess what? I just had 21 pounds of fun delivered to my door. Look what I got. I can't even pick it up. It's so much stuff. But this is the most important thing. Catalogues! Yay! I'm so exciting! Hi Dana. Hi Pam. It's been a while since you've seen me last Wednesday. I think I went live last week one day too, but I can't remember because all the weeks since Corona have just run together and I don't know what's going on. But look, catalogs. So I'm thinking the catalogs were recently mailed to customers, so hopefully customers of mine should be getting theirs. No shaving cream. I think people got a really good laugh and I was like, don't forget your shaving cream. But anyway, I got my shaving cream, have my catalogs, I got all of my stuff. So maybe later I could do a like a catalog thing if you guys are in it. Just depends. Adrian, Adrian's a demonstrator. She still didn't get hers, so that's kind of crazy. Maybe you want to call DS and mention that to them. Good morning. 21 pounds. I know, right? When I looked at the weight, I was like, whoop, 21 pounds. I've been patiently waiting 2 weeks because I didn't expedite my shipping. So I thought that was kind of funny. Okay. So I don't want to dawdle too long because the device I have you on, I'm hoping is going to be fine. We're going to see. I have everything set up here. Let me just show you. Whoops. Let me show you what I have. So I have some supplies. I have paper plate. I have a plastic knife, or you could probably use a chopstick if you have one. So really it's just kind of to get that off. Oh, good. I'm glad you called. Shaving cream. Now mine is from Target. Smells like the ocean. Not necessary, but bonus. Your card will smell good. And smells like the ocean. And today I think we're going to make a card to maybe look like an ocean background because I thought we could use the whale stuff eventually to finish it. I don't know if we'll be able to finish one today because you do have to wait for it to dry. That's the one thing with this because adhesive will not stick to it when it's wet. So we're going to fool around and do some stuff. I have to do one more little quick thing because I forgot, but I did bring hopefully all of the appropriate things upstairs with me today. So one little side note. I'm going to do this with Thick Whisper White and Glossy. Now Glossy Cardstock is no longer available. Maybe you have some Glossy Cardstock. I still have a lot. I'm going to, when I'm finished today, go and request it again that they bring it back into the catalog because it's very fun. But I think you should be able to do this as well with Thick Whisper White, and you can also do it with Shimmer. So I'm going to do those three. So I have to grab those three papers. So I think I have, I'm just going to do one piece of Glossy because since we don't really have it to necessarily use. You could also use thick vanilla. So that's another one you could use. So I have a piece of Thick Whisper White. So I'll do two with that. And I should, that's regular white. Here's some Shimmer. And I have a piece of Shimmer. So we'll do two with that. You probably could also use watercolor paper. Should work out fine, but you need thick. You can't use regular white because it really warps the paper. So you need something that's a heavier weight cardstock. So really quickly, what I'm going to do is let me cut these down, and I'm going to leave them as full sheets. So they're 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. They're bigger pieces, unless this one's already cut. Only because we can always trim it down, just kind of depending. So I have Thick Whisper White, 2 pieces. I have Shimmery White, 2 pieces, and then I have 1 piece of, you can see the Glossy. You might be able to use photo paper for this, so we'll see. But we're going to fool around with this a little bit, and then afterwards, it does take time to dry. That's the one thing. You can't just do it only because the adhesive will not stick, period, just so you know. So I'm gonna flip you down. It's funny, I think I'm so excited because, oops, what did that turn on for? What did it give me? I don't want the light on. Hold on for a second. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, I'm thinking I had the light on. I wonder if that's why it was being a little crazy, but okay, we're all settled now. Let me just put these couple things away. That way I can follow your comments here. Again, I did pin this to the top of the page, so hopefully you guys will be able to find it without too many issues. I also, when I'm finished this, let's see, put this somewhere good. When I'm finished this, regardless of what happens, I will definitely make cards with this. It just might not be right away. So I just have some paper plates. I have my shaving cream. I have, again, I got a plastic knife out and then just a chopstick, which I just ripped these two in half because we have a lot of chopsticks here. And the other thing you're going to need probably is some sort of towel. So you can see I have my usual microfiber cloths. You could use paper towels, but you kind of need something just to kind of wipe the edges off. And also, just to kind of set this aside to dry on. So I'm trying to make myself a little bit of room here. As usual, I have 8,000 things going on and they all take up space. So you definitely want to shake your shaving cream. You do not want gel. Gel will not work. It has to be foam. And preferably, I can't imagine they have colored shaving cream, but you want white because you want to add colors to it. So I thought what we could do first is we're going to just pick a couple colors. So we'll do, I think I'm going to try something different. So just Jade, Coastal Cabana, and I'm going to try Balmy Blue because I feel like Bermuda Bay might be a little dark. So I'm going to pick 3 colors and we're going to dip. I'm going to skip the glossy for now. I'm going to do 2 things. So I'm going to dip the Shimmer and the Thick Whisper White. And then we'll do these 3 in something different, okay? So you want to have 3 colors. It doesn't need to be 3 colors, but you want to pick 3 things that kind of go together. I'm going to just pull one of these plates so it's by itself. And then you're going to shake your shaving cream and you're going to spray. Now here's the one thing. You want to make sure whatever you're putting this in, so it's going to puff up, that it is big enough to support your card, okay? So I'm going to put some shaving cream in here. Whoops. Probably doesn't need to be quite this much. And the neat part about this is no matter what you do, it will never be 2 of the same, which is kind of cool. So I'm just going to kind of spread this around. Looks like whipped cream. Oh, it smells good. It does smell like the ocean. They aren't lying. But you can get Barbasol, it does not have to be expensive. So I'm just going to set this on the side. So then I'm going to take my ink refill and just drop. Do 5. So that was Balmy Blue. And this one's Coastal Cabana, my absolute favorite color of all time. And then some Just Jade. So I'm trying to attempt to go for like a oceany color card, if that's not what you didn't get from this. Okay. Now, I haven't done this in a while, but it is a fun technique to do. So then what you could do is you could either use your knife or you could use your chopstick. But you're going to take, and I'm just going to do my chopstick because I've never done one before, so we'll see if it works. And you're just going to kind of drag this around. So you want to make sure you kind of mix up the splotches. You don't really want anything necessarily in a hard color splotch, only because it'll be really, really darkly concentrated. So I'm just kind of swirling. I'm trying to swirl it as if it were the ocean. So that's why I'm kind of making like this S pattern. Okay, so this is fine. All I'm going to do is take this and just wipe it off. Okay, so we can use this again. Same thing with this. If you wanted to, you could kind of like make a little bit of a pattern on it. So whatever you want to do, you can play around with it. And then what we're going to do is take our cardstock and we're going to press it. Just press it down. Try to make sure you get the whole thing. If you missed a part of it, I will tell you one thing. This is a teeny bit messy. So if you missed a spot, like if you notice there's something there you missed, like this for example, you could do a couple things. You can either spread it with your knife so you get the color onto there. If you had a little piece here on the tip, you could pick a little bit up and kind of fill it on. But basically then you're going to scrape it off. And I'm just going to kind of backfill this. I'm not going to really mush it. I'm just going to set it down, because we can use the rest. Now, one thing to note, if you see when I'm pulling this off, it is kind of pulling it off because this is a serrated knife. I can't remember when I did this before if it affects it or not. So there's that. And then I'm going to grab one more little towel. So I'm going to just grab a tea towel. And afterwards I'll have to run these through the wash. But wipe this off. And now again, so I told you, it definitely needs time to dry, and it's definitely slippery, but look at that. Oops. Pretty cool, huh? So it's a really pretty background, and it will pick up whatever it is that you do. So if you did something a little bit different, so let's just say I'm just going to add a couple more drops of jade, since we have a few white spots here. Okay, and then I'm going to take this after I kind of wiped it off a little bit and just, whoops, re-wipe it so it's kind of clean. And then I'm just going to bring this back through again just to add a little bit more color. Kind of make it like a circular swirl. Doesn't have to be perfect. It will be absolutely different every single time. Okay, so this again was thick Whisper White. So it is a little bit wonky. The paper does absorb, so it is a little bit floppy, but it will dry. So this is the Shimmer White paper. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same thing. So just pressing it in. Make sure I got all the corners. So the one thing you want to do when you do this is make sure, now this will be a really dark spot here, which is fine. It'll just be a little bit different. I'm going to move this over just a little bit so we make sure we pick something up there. One thing you want to do is, if you're going to do these, so obviously there is a lot of shaving cream here, so you can do many, many cards, okay? But since I said we were going to swap, we're going to do, see how dark this spot is? You can't really see it under there yet, but it's really dark. You could do a ton of cards though. So that was my point that I was just trying to get at, and I lost my train of thought. You could do probably like 10 cards. Not one of them is going to look the same. Okay, so there's that. And I'm just going to do the same thing again. I'm just wiping this off. And you could see a couple places where we had a really heavy drop. That's where that one spot was there. But it does look really pretty. So it's definitely a very different. So for the next one, instead of swirling, what I'm going to try to do is something different. It's kind of funny. This looks like a face, like eyes and a smile. It's kind of like a clown. So what do you guys think about this so far? This is pretty fun, I think. And again, you can get a lot of cards from this. So you don't have to stop here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the side. And the other thing is too, with this, a lot of the color is on the top. So if you wanted to maybe add something different in, you can kind of stir it from the bottom. Just like so. So you could add, let me just see. I'm going to try just something different here before we move on to our next one. So I kind of have a little bit of the greens, but then I brought up some of the white from the bottom. And before we're done, because I have all those pieces of cardstock that I cut. Now, these are regular Whisper White, so keep that in mind. This is not regular Whisper White. Cardstock isn't going to hold up as well. It's definitely going to take a lot longer to dry. But this kind of looks more like a soft sea color now that we've mixed it all together. I'm going to try one other thing though. Let us grab. So we have that. So just for something different, I'm just going to put in like a couple drops of magenta for this last one. And then we'll do a different color. We'll just do 3. Okay, so I'm going to take my knife. Let me see, I want to do, I'm just trying to break this up just a little bit because this has a big glop of color. All right, so just like that, this is going to be one more. Now, again, I'm going to do this on regular Whisper White only. Oh, actually, you know what? This does happen to be thick. It just was a piece that was sitting here, and I'm just going to drop this in. So now you should kind of have like a more of a flat background color with a couple pops of this magenta. Let's see what it looks like. Woo, that's pretty. Hold on. I'm going to grab a little bit of this since that's a white spot and just glop it on there. It smells very nice in here. It smells very beachy. Okay, this one's pretty because it's a very soft background with these really bright blings of magenta. That's really nice. And again, the background is way softer, and then you just have these splotches. So that's really pretty. Okay, so this, I'm going to try and fold this over so I don't lose any of this onto the carpet, because that would be, I would definitely be punished if that happened. All right, so this I'm going to move. I'm going to throw this away. Let me just finish wiping off this knife. Okay, so does anybody have any other color combination suggestions they'd like to see? So I did this one. Remember, we kind of did this for something like an oceany background. And then this one we just added in some pink. Oops. So let me see. This is not messed up underneath. And then I'm going to grab another plate. Anybody have any suggestions for colors? Oh, goodness. Well, Suzanne, I think it's gotten a little better. You could also get unscented, too. Yeah, browns probably wouldn't look so good. A fall one might look nice, though. So let's try, let's see. How about terracotta for fall? We'll do terracotta. I don't know how cinnamon cider would look, but let's give it a shot. Worst case scenario, if it looks ugly, you just don't repeat it. And we'll do bumblebee. Let's try those three. I'm going to move this plate somewhere where I'm not going to accidentally, hopefully, kick it over. So we'll try these three. So I have terracotta, bumblebee, and cinnamon cider. You kind of have to be a little bit careful with the browns because, again, someone did mention it can get kind of muddy looking. And I'm going to set these, we'll bring these over here. I'm going to set these three on the side. So we have thick Whisper White. Nope, this is Shimmer, thick Whisper White, and then we did one panel of Glossy. So if you happen to have any of that. Our first combination, in case you missed it, we did Just Jade, Balmy Blue, Coastal Cabana, and then for that last one, we threw in some magenta. So same thing again. And I'm not going to put quite as much shaving cream this time because you don't really need too much. Let's see if that's good. And I'm going to just take my knife and kind of spread it around, making it like a flat palette. Okay. So next week, I will be 9:30. I'll be back 9:30. And then the week after that, I'm actually on vacation. So next week will be my last live until August. So we're going to the beach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the cinnamon last. So I'm going to do some bumblebee. And I think customers are going to be able to order the ink refills fairly soon. I don't know if there's an actual date yet. Terracotta, this is a different ink color, so you should be good with that one. But the newer ink colors, they were making sure they had enough. Because a company that makes their re-inkers, I believe they paused to make some hand sanitizer, so I'm going to just do sparingly with the cinnamon. I'm only going to do, 3. Okay, so again, I'm going to do this with the knife, only because I feel like with the knife it's a little more delicate than it is with the chopstick. So I'm going to do the same thing again, just kind of move it back and forth, see if we can move this color around a little bit. And what we'll do is we'll look at the first one, and if it looks awful, maybe, you know what I might need to throw in here? I think a teeny bit of green. I'm going to go with Granny Apple. Just because sometimes you think of fall and you're like, oh, orange and yellow. But there are still some green leaves. So little Granny Apple in there at the last minute. You could even do this with your kids or your grandkids, because it's pretty, I mean, it's a little bit messy, but for the most part, it's not really a difficult craft. Okay, so we'll kind of swirl these around a little bit. Okie doke. So I'm going to stop right there for now. And I'm going to do the glossy first, okay? So glossy cardstock. You could also try photo paper if you don't have it, but I loved this, so I always bought extra. So glossy cardstock. Let me dip this back in because I had a couple white spots. There we go. All right, so there's that one. Let's see if I can do this without making a mess. Ooh, this is very, and I think it's because the color we went with, we didn't do a ton of them. It's pretty soft, considering. Hold on, I had to get an extra towel here. So that's really pretty. If you wanted more of a burnt orange, you could go to Cajun Craze, but just be careful because the Cajun can get to be a little bit dark, but that's a pretty nice one. So this is on the glossy. Now also, it could have picked this up a little differently because it's on glossy instead of the regular paper. So let's just and the funny thing is, if you look at that bumblebee, after we dipped, it kind of looks like Dijon mustard or baby poo. So I'm just going to spread this just a little, just to give like a couple different textures. Okay. And now we're going to go to the regular Thick Whisper White. And remember, you can always add more colors if you want to. And you can see, too, the way I mixed it, it kind of got a little dotty in a few spots. But I think it's okay because it'll give you definitely different endings with this. So I'm going to try to scrape some of this back for now, for our last one, before I wipe. Okay. So the Thick Whisper White picked up a lot more of the actual ink compared to the glossy. And the glossy, one other thing I noticed too, is when you have the scraped look, it kind of follows it. So I almost think I like this better because it's definitely sticking the ink just directly to the paper. I like it a lot. It doesn't only work on glossy, Linda. Gloria, I'm sorry. It works on everything. I really like it on the other ones better, quite honestly. The glossy was, it was definitely picking up a little bit more of the smears. This is the Thick Whisper White, so that looks really nice. So I'm going to do one more time. I'm going to try to reassign this so it doesn't look too gross, I guess. So let's see. Kind of pick these up. I'm going to swirl them around a little bit without trying to make it too muddy looking. And then let's try this once more. So since I kind of brought that over like that, I'm going to go ahead back in. I'm going to add a couple. So I'll add one more, 2, 3 grannies. And bumblebee. And then I think I might, just to make it a little bit brighter, I think I'm going to go with a pumpkin pie. Just 2 pumpkin pies. And then I'm going to do the opposite. So now I'm going to do the chopstick. Just kind of swirl these through over top. Oops. All right, so this is my last piece. This is the Shimmery White. See what this looks like. Okay, and let me just scrape this. So actually this one, when you combine them, it does have more of like a yellow background. And then you picked up, you can see we definitely picked up some of those globs of Bumblebee where I didn't mix it quite as well. And the orange is really pretty. And then the nice part about this is when you're finished, so since we did these in an actual quarter sheet, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, you could actually cut these down and use them for lots of different things. So that is the Shimmery White. So let me move this stuff out of the way. I'm going to put these two piles together. So maybe if your husband goes on a no shaving vacation for COVID or something like that, you could wrangle up some of the shaving cream. And here we go. So Shimmery White. And the nice part about the shimmery is you still can see the shimmer. I'm sure it's not coming through on here, but you can see the shimmer. Shimmery White, thick white. This is the one we did on Glossy, which coincidentally doesn't really have, it has like a nice bit of swirls, but it doesn't have as much color as the other two. The intensity of the color is different. And then this one was regular thick whisper white. This is Shimmery White. You can absolutely see the shimmer beneath that. This one was another piece of thick whisper white where we just muddled all these colors together and then put a little bit of magenta in there. So I think they look really neat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these a little bit of time to dry. Let me just wipe these off, and I'm going to give them a few minutes to dry because you definitely want to make sure also that if you have anything on the back, because they're not going to stick, oops, they're not going to stick to your base as well. Yeah, the Glossy just didn't seem as impressive. And you know, I bet you years ago I probably did this exclusively on the Glossy, but I think the other ones really took the color very well. You could also swap out the thick Very Vanilla if you wanted to instead of the white, depending on what kind of cards you were going for. So they look really pretty. Also, you got to remember too, depending on the pressing, like this one we did first, so it has a lot more of the white space behind it, whereas this one we kind of mixed it together and then redistributed the color. And then this one is when we mixed it all. These cards smell, they smell so refreshing. They smell really nice. But really, you don't need a lot of stuff, so you definitely need the foam shaving cream. That's one thing. So for the fall ones, we kind of did a combination of fall and then added in some green, which I think made it look really pretty as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these a moment to dry. And I think with this one, actually I think what I'm going to do is I might cut this one down just a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down so it is 3 3/4 by 5. And I'm just trimming from each end so there's not any obvious point where you can tell it definitely doesn't look good here with the white edge. So that's why I did it from each side. So then we have like just these little scraps left over, which isn't really too big of a deal. So there's that one. And I'm going to cut down. This was plain and this one's shimmer. I'm going to do opposite. Same for this one. We'll see if we can kind of at least make 2 cards. So 4. And 3 3/4 by 4. And the reason I did 3 3/4 is I kind of figured if we did it this way, maybe we could put a layer of something behind it. I don't really know what yet, so I don't know where I'm going with this, but we could put like, could either put like maybe black behind it and then one of the complementary colors I think would look really nice. So let me pull some of that. I'm just kind of trying to waste time while these things may dry a little bit is really what I'm going for. See. I think these might be the same. Oh, this one might be okay. So that works. And that works. All right, so there's that. And then what I'll do is I'm going to grab a contrasting color. So for this one, I know I didn't do Bermuda Bay, but I think I might pick Jade for this background. Let's see what it looks like. Kind of looks pretty. All right, so we'll do jade for that one. And then for the other one, maybe I'm gonna see what the bumblebee looks like. That's a little too light. I think I'm gonna go with the granny apple, just because there wasn't quite as much of that in the card, and it might bring it out a little bit more. So we'll go with those two. Okay, so this one I just have to cut, and we'll cut this one this way, 5.5. Okay. All right, so one other thing I wanted to do. So for this one, did I bring it upstairs? I got this. Really cute. This will be a really nice one. I think we'll do this one. We can like add a leaf or something. This is Beautiful Autumn. This also does have a coordinating punch pack in the catalog. It is an acorn, and then I believe it's these two leaves, the maple and the oak. I'm pretty sure it's these three. I could be wrong. I don't think there's a pine cone. Maybe there is. I can't remember, but I didn't get that. I only got the stamp set. So I think I'm going to add a little something with a sentiment on here, and then we'll add a couple of these in the background. And then for the other one, I really would like to do the whale. So let me grab that. And the whale also has a coordinating punch for the whale, which is really cute. But we don't necessarily have to do the whale. We could even do the turtle. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put these on the side and just give them a little bit more to dry. In the meantime, I think we're going to stamp, if I can find a little scrap here. We will do the turtle. And I'm going to do the turtle in jade. So we did talk about this, I believe it was last week, but if you have a stamp and you feel like it's stamping a little too mucky, like this one, so it's not really giving you a lot of detail, what you want to do, so just in case you missed this last week, I'll share it with you again. What you want to do is you want to take a spoon, and this is basically just to not waste ink, and you're going to kind of press your ink into the pad, kind of to one direction. Now you will have a little bit on your spoon, but it's not as much as if you would have absorbed it with a paper towel. And then you're going to re-ink your turtle again on that side. And it should, hopefully it's not going to make me look like a fool, it should give you a nicer stamped image with way more detail. So you'll have much more detail instead of just kind of like that glop. So if you have an issue with your ink pad where it's stamping a little darker than what you necessarily want, give that a try. It does really work. And the nice part is, since you're not absorbing the ink off of your pad, you're not really wasting any ink that you could use for something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, where are my scissors? I'm just going to cut this out for now because we're going to cut him out. But this guy, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to stamp my sentiment first. Do My Heart Is Grateful for You. And I'm going to do this in Cinnamon Cider. So I haven't used this ink yet, so I have to see what this looks like. This is always another good reason to have a little scrap piece of something to stamp on. Okay, so I'm going to ink this up. This is a really nice script on this one. I like it a lot. It's very pretty. I really like, that's what attracts me to a lot of the stamp sets that I buy, more so than anything, are the fonts for the sentiments. So we have that, and then I'm going to add just this little leaf. And since we did kind of highlight Granny Apple Green, I'm going to do that. Again, I am stamping on a mat on top of this thing here, so just in case you're wondering, like, why? You definitely want a mat because it gives you a much better stamp when you're using the photopolymer. So I just stamped that 2 times, once with once full generation or first generation and once stamped off. And then we'll add in, how about a little teeny bit of orange? We'll just do this little maple leaf. And I'm going to stick with pumpkin pie. You could use terracotta if you wanted. Looks pretty good. I'm going to cut this out with something. I'm just not quite sure what yet. And then we're going to do one similar thing. And I just need one more little scrap. I have to have a scrap of something here. One more scrap. I'm going to do a black sentiment for my whale card, just so it really sticks out. So, how about that? My love for you is bigger than the ocean. That's a pretty one. Use that. And then I'm going to do that in black, and then somehow we're going to cut that out too. I don't know if I want to stamp it, cut it, whatever the case may be. And I'm going to try this one in Memento. I want to see what it looks like. Might be a little goopy. Yeah. Try that one more time. Alright, I'm going to try this down here at the bottom. That way I can trim it maybe. That looks pretty nice. Just kind of trim it with my scissors. That way we're not doing a whole bunch of fussy cutting or time-consuming cutting here. Alright, so let me scoot these guys over. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and just grab my snips and cut out my turtle. And then we're going to cut this just hand trim, and this one we're going to cut out and add on. So you can also add some ribbon to this if you wanted to. You want to add a little something extra to it. The most important thing, and it could even be at this point because we haven't been doing this too long, it hasn't been dry. You just really want it to be dry. So for some reason, I just realized I got ink on my watch. I can't believe it's the first time I got ink on my watch. It took me that long. You do want to make sure that it dries. So if for some reason mine doesn't stick, it could just potentially need more drying time. You could also stamp your turtle in black. You could do him in Stays On, and then you could color him in with the watercolor brushes. You could stamp him in Memento, and color him in with blends. Speaking of, I found a really cool new way. I'm going to add a little bit of dark with this. A cool new way to color. And I'm going to tell you guys about it. But first, I'm going to tease you. And I could not be the first person to think of this. But I tried it for this card that I have coming up for our July club class. And it turned out really way better than I thought it would. So I'm going to share that with you guys sooner or later. So there is our turtle. For him, I'm going to trim this one so it's just straight. And then we can always flag this if we need to. We'll kind of trim this down just a little bit. Looks pretty good. Okay. This one we're going to do something with. I think I'm going to try, I don't know if we have a punch. Coming in late. That's okay. I started really late, Wendy. No worries. You're not really that late. I feel like a lot of our punches aren't going to be quite large enough. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Tasteful Touches, which is now one of my favorite. It's kind of pretty. Let's see if it'll fit in this. Would fit nicely in that one too. What do we want? Do we want, oh, we could even do wider. This paper might be just a tiny bit too small. Nope, we'll do that one. I'm going to do this one sideways. So this is a bundle, Tasteful Touches, and then I cannot remember what the dies are called, but the dies that coordinate with it are really, really nice. I like them a super duper lot. Okay, so I'm going to straighten this out a little bit. I'm going to die cut that real quick. Okay, got lots of new ribbon. And if it weren't for the fact that it literally just arrived, I would put some of it on here. I think would look really pretty too. You could even do another layer underneath of this with something else. So let's see what we have to fool with here. Let me see. So you have this, this piece of brown might look nice. Let's see. That might look nice. You could even, if you have the little triple banner punch, you could punch 2 little holes here on the end and thread your ribbon through. I don't know if I want to use that one or that one kind of gets a little bit lost. We're going to try that. We're going to try this cinnamon cider ribbon and see. And then for this guy here, I think I'm going to cut this out, add him to it, and then maybe we'll kind of decorate this with something else. Okay, so let's see if we can put this together. So what I'm going to do is got this panel. We have our black and this. So I'm going to take my silicone mat and I'm going to use a little bit of the Stampin' Seal Plus. I know I don't really need this much of it, but add this here. It's pretty well lined up. Let's see. Okay, that looks good. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit that way we can wrap this around. I like those big bold splotches, so I want to try not to cover them up. Now, I always seem to forget this, and I just did it again, but I put adhesive on the back of this, but I didn't actually put it on here. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to put some adhesive right down this. That's like the second or third time I've done that with these little extra pieces where I'm not anchoring them. I don't know what I am thinking. Just kind of temporarily putting this before I press it. Okay, so I'll push this. So there's that. And then I am going to add some more adhesive. You probably don't need this as much or need as much of this, but you know, I am from the one where we used to add a ton of glue. So it's just taking me some time to lighten up on my glue. And I'm going to line this up as best I can. I just want a little border around. Hopefully that looks relatively good. I should have tucked this one in just a little bit better. A slight bit off, but that's okay. And my border is a tiny bit tight, so that's okay though. You know what? It is what it is. I'm sure whoever gets this card will be happy to see it. Okay, I'll make sure this opens correctly. Unless you want to give it to a left-hander and make their day, because probably nobody ever makes anybody a left-handed card. So this is definitely crooked, but it's fine. No big deal. Got a little bit of a scrub here. I must have cut this before I changed my blade. So there's one. So that's at least one that we got done. And then we're going to do something with the turtle. So for this guy, I'm going to just put him directly on. I'm not going to add any ribbon to him, so I'm going to do this one with liquid glue just so we can kind of get a a feel to see if one sticks better. But it does seem like it's pretty dry now, so it's sticking better than it was, or better than I anticipated. Put this down. Nice part about when you use liquid glue, which is why I really like it, except you do have to hold it, especially because this was a wetter card. You can adjust it still a little bit. So I could have gotten a better border if I would have used liquid glue, or even if I would have added liquid glue to the top of the Stampin' Seal Plus, it would have worked out better. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put him here. Should we put him here? No, I think I'm going to put him here. Yeah, and then I'm going to, might snip a little bit of this off. Just depending on where he is. So I'm going to take my turtle. So this part's covered really around here. I am going to go ahead and just nip this little corner piece off like that. Before we finish with him, you know, I'm going to add a little wink of Stella to the turtle. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you add Wink of Stella is kind of like a blender pen. It will re-wet the ink, and it does spread it around a little bit. So if you have any colors that may not be blended together because they might look muddy, be wary because it will blend them and they might not look so good. So, and then when you're done with this, you want to clean it off. That way you don't transfer the ink that you were using onto whatever the next project is that you were doing. And I feel like I don't think I folded this one. Nope, I didn't score it. So I'm just going to do that real quick. Okay, and I'm going to put some of the sequins on this. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just liquid glue this down, and then we're going to add some sequins all over, just for like a little bit of extra something. And I'm going to pop my turtle up on dimensionals. So just a little bit more liquid glue. But kind of looks like that nice, like a swirly background. Maybe not necessarily as oceanic as I anticipated, but that's okay. Thank you guys for joining me today. As always, thank you for joining me at a later time because I forgot about lacrosse camp. I'm just going to kind of center this so it's, oops, over here at the edge. There we go. And let me find, hopefully I have them here. Corners, sale. I have everything except the one I'm looking for, of course. It's probably at the bottom of the pile. There we go. Nope, that's not them. Whale of a Time. And the reason I like the Whale of a Time ones, because they have a couple of them in there that look like seashells. So if you haven't seen these, there's a few of the little guys in here that look like seashells, so they're really cute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple, and I mean tiny, because you want it to dry where you put it more than you want it to stick. And I'm just doing these in threes. We'll put one here. Okay, so then what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to dump a few of these over so I can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to pick these up and kind of press them. Here's the one that looks, oops, that's a little hard to see, but it does look like a seashell. I don't know how well you can see that. Sorry for my dropsies today. Put a couple of these. So I find that when I was doing it before and I was trying to add more glue so it would stay put, that it took so long to dry that by the time I got it where I wanted it, the glue wouldn't stay there anyway. So that's kind of why I started using less glue. So if you have trouble with getting things to stick, that could be an option, just to try to use a little bit less glue. I'm going to grab one of these little seashells and put this up here. If I can get it to pick up. And I have one more. There's one more glue. But just a little something fun. This one I'm going to press down just a teeny bit. I think I might have more than one sequin on there. I think that's the problem. Yep. multiple sequins. Oh! Have you guys ever, I don't know if you have or haven't, but if you guys have ever seen, and I don't know where I did with that one, there it is. If you've ever seen the birdcage, every time I woo like that, it reminds me of Nathan Lane, because he was just, he still is, but he was hilarious in that movie. Him and Robin Williams. My God, those two. Like, I can still watch this movie. It's like the first time I've ever watched it, watching it today. But there are 2 finished cards. You could do the same thing by adding some, like some little sequin assortment to this one as well. The other one that might work, and I have that here, so I'll show it to you just in case you wanted to add something. We do still have the snowflake sequins. They came back. They carried over from last year, so that's really, really fun as well. But the woven threads, a few of these, and these are, I like the sequins too because they have a lot of different sizes in them, and there is another sequin that is coming out, and actually it's in that pack back there. So, but these do have white ones, so you could always, if you wanted to add something to this, you could even add some of the white sequins to it. Maybe you could go with the this because it's kind of closer a little bit to the terracotta, but you could add something to this as well. But I kind of sometimes feel like when I add extra stuff to it, it almost takes away from the card. So I really am always torn about whether I should or shouldn't add sequins. I don't know if it's just me. Do you guys feel that way as well? But it's sometimes it's like, I don't know. Do I add them? I don't add them. Not really sure if I should or shouldn't add them. So, okay. So let me see. I don't think I can see how much longer my battery's going to last here, of course. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and pull out a couple things real quick, just to show you a few of the things I got. Super duper excited because the Moose Punch is back. So I got the Moose Punch. Friend was kind enough to share. She got an extra Moose stamp set. So I got the Moose Punch. So I'm really excited about that one. And then people who participate in my paper and DSP shares, usually I give them extra gift, but not quite sure what, but these are really cute. All the trimmings, embellishments. There's a tree stamp set that you could use these to decorate with. These Iridescent Pearls are really pretty. I'm going to use these for Halloween. They're super cool. They're like a purple, black. Oh, they're really neat. I like them a lot. A lot of green, blue. Really, really pretty. There are a few things that are my absolute favorite. I think this is one of the most fun stamp sets. I have a great idea for this. I don't want to share it with you yet. The Rainbow Stamper and I thought of it together. So, great stamp set here. Love this one. This one has a coordinating tag. It's called Everything Essential. Saw some really cute ones. So you have Valentine's, Halloween, Christmas, snowflakes, bats, and hearts. All really, really cute. This is one of the Halloween stamp sets I got. I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite things. I will say, so far the DSP isn't my favorite DSP that they've ever come out with for Halloween, but I love this. We can make our own DSP with this. So I love Dracula and the Witch, Black Cat, and the Raven. They're really, really cute. And then in the back, they've been trying to do this, I think, a little bit more, which I saw some adorable cards with these. These are called Festive Corner, so you could put this around the stamp set in the corner, and it's photopolymer so you can see it to line it up. So this one looks really exciting. I love the little light bulbs, and the cobwebs are adorable as well. So there's a couple more. And the other thing I wanted to show you. Oh. Okay. Here's the other 2 main things I wanted to show you. So these little adhesive back snowflakes are adorable. Love those. And this one. I mean, who doesn't love Santa and the elf wrapped up in the lights, which is cute. I think this is fun. It's all fun and games till Santa checks the naughty list, right? Okay, so here was the other thing I wanted to show you with the sequins. So this one is called Sequins for Everything. And this actually goes, I believe, with that around the corner stamps that I was telling you. But I think it's nice because the way the sequins are separated instead of having like 4 containers like this. So what you'll do, and this is the first time I've seen this, so hopefully I don't make a mess, but it has different sizes, and then they're kind of different shapes, but it's a lot of sequins. So you could use these for shaker cards. Some of them are faceted. course, everything is sticking to my finger now, but they're all shades of green, shades of yellow. There's gold, silver, and white. That'll be great for New Year's. And then red. So I think these are really fun. And you could even do red and green if you wanted to for Christmas. Red, green, and gold, or red, green, and yellow. But they have a lot of different shapes to them. So you can see just from them. There's hexagons. There's 2 different sizes of circles. So I think these were a pretty cool deal to get, just because I know sometimes, oh, static. I know sometimes the sequins can kind of come and go in the catalog, and people either really love sequins or they don't use them at all, but I think they're really nice for shakers too. So if you have people that maybe you were thinking of making shaker cards for, I think this would be really nice. So it comes in a little box. So there's 3,600 there's 3,600 sequins in there, so that's pretty cool. So thank you guys so much for joining today. Let's see, what hope she responds to this. What did I say? Yeah, lovely. You know what the funny thing is with Halloween, Mary? I agree with you, Mary. Sometimes it's like, I love the Halloween stuff, and then sometimes I'm kind of like, because I really, really love Halloween. And a few of the things are just like, Oh, this is something I actually got on Amazon. It's a jewel picker. Personally, I like this a little better than the tacky part of the Take Your Pick. The Take Your Pick, my favorite part of this is the spatula. I use this for so much stuff, and I do like the piercer, but I still have trouble with the tacky portion of this. Sometimes it works really good. So, like, I could probably pick something up right now, but man, when I'm, like, intending to use it, see, it'll pick it up. Darn if every time I use this, it never works for me. So I use this. It's called a Marvy Jewel Picker. It has 2 different ends. One's a tiny end, one's a little bit of a fatter end, but it stays tacky. Now, I've had this one for probably 4 years, so I'm sure eventually it's going to lose its tack, and maybe there might be something you could use, like wipe it off and it'll pick up its tack again, but it picks things up pretty well. So I like this one better, but that's just, again, my personal opinion. Yeah, I didn't love the Halloween. Same thing. I got it anyway because I was like, well, you know what? We can always make something out of it. We could always... I will say the one nice thing about the Halloween paper is you can use it when Halloween's over, which I think sometimes if you don't get to use your paper, then you're kind of like, well, what am I going to do with this now? Because it's so Halloween-y. But when the Halloween paper is awesome, I never have any left over. But my one wish, if I were to wish for Halloween, is I just wish they wouldn't pair it with vanilla. Because for me, I love it when it's paired with white because I think it makes the images much more crisp. So that's kind of my favorite opinion on the paper. So let me see if there's any, you haven't done shaving cream and fur. I just want to go back through. When in doubt, add bling. You were right about that, right? And I know I'm also sometimes with the sequins thing, like I'll buy them and then I never use them. If you all saw how many sequins, you probably would laugh at me. I think I probably have almost as many as Wendy Cranford. And I want to thank you guys again for joining me. Yeah, that's a good idea. We could have done that, a little something under the turtle to make him stand up. But he does kind of, you know, when you're looking from the side. And now I see my low camera battery came on. So I'm going to have to probably end this before it cuts me off. But you probably could have put something behind him. That would have been a good idea. Just to make him stand out a little more. Maybe a white circle back there. So if you're going to do it after the fact, you could do that. Even or black. We could have cut a black circle and put that behind it so he would stand out. Because then you'd just be using a piece of the layer from the inside. But I don't want this to cut out on me abruptly, so I'm going to say goodbye for now. I will do my best to pop on at some time this coming weekend. I don't know exactly what day. Friday, we have some special plans that I can't talk about in case anybody's listening down the hall. But we're going to do something fun on Friday because we haven't been able to do too many fun things. And then again, I will see you guys here live next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure if you haven't already that you subscribe to me here and on YouTube. If you hit the subscribe button, all you need is a Google account, and that's free to create. But YouTube actually does give you alerts when I go live or when I post a new video. So thank you guys so much for joining. If you have anything you'd like to get in the catalog, I would love if you would shop through me if you don't already have a demonstrator. If you are looking for a demonstrator, I'd be happy to send you a catalog as well. And my customers, please make sure that you hang in there. Your holiday catalog should be coming soon. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Stay cool, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.